quite a few experiences, I believe, with other religions. Like the angels have spiritually transported you to Mecca, and you experienced this, and you also had experiences with other religions. Can you share a little bit about those experiences?
The one in Mecca was that it was actually here and I'm not going to tell it all to you. I was here in Dublin, and Jean had suggested she was going to bring me to this very beautiful library. You know, and that's all I thought I was going to, was this beautiful library, and she said there was religious books there, and I just said, God, that's great, I've never been there, I'd love to go there. And we were walking through the streets, and when we got close, I'll skip because it would be too long, but when we got to it, as I was getting up close to the door, there was a beautiful angel standing there, all in armour. I have to say, in armour, they give a human appearance, and he was like a giant, and he was standing there at the door, and I knew by him that if there was someone that wasn't meant to go in there, they'd actually stand, change their mind and walk away. You know, we do listen, you know, and I didn't think much of it really, you know. So I went in, and the angel Michael up on stage took my hand, and he said to me, you know, God wants to show you something. And I was looking around, and he brought me over in one direction, and then I just see the screen on the wall, and it was about maybe the size of that opening there. And all of a sudden, Michael just said, God is going to take your soul. And that screen got huge. It was like as if it filled the whole wall down there. And I was suddenly there. And it was incredible. Absolutely incredible. There was literally hundreds of thousands of, and they were all Muslims, but it doesn't make any difference, by the way, what religion it was, but they were there in prayer. You know, and it was just so overwhelming for my soul. I was in prayer. And just the angels of prayer, you know, it was, even in the book, I cannot describe it. You know, and I wanted to stay there. And I know that if one day, if all religions could go there and pray together, you know, it's just so incredible when your soul moves in your body. For you to experience that, you know that there is more to life. You're not worried about your body in one sense, yet you have to look after it as well. But to feel your soul, and to feel your soul in prayer, I was in heaven being there with them, because they were all in prayer. And I mean, they were all in prayer. And that's, I'm afraid if I go too much into it, I'll get too overwhelmed, so I don't want to in that way. It was just like another time when I was at a prayer group. God has never allowed me to, until now, He never allowed me to become part of anything. But the only thing He allowed me to go to was, at the time, years back, I believe it has changed now, He allowed me to go to the prayer group in Maynooth, yes, when it was only starting up. Yeah. And most of the time it would be full of clerical students, young men, and it would, and nuns, and it would have maybe 15 to 20 sometimes of the local people. And I used to love to go there for the simple reason, because everybody would pray, and it didn't matter what way they prayed. You know, some of them would actually sing, some of them would be chanting, some of them would be saying prayers off, would be in all different ways, but it doesn't actually matter. But I used to love it. But again then, one time I was told, you know, something very special was going to happen. And the only thing that I realised was that my soul was just dancing inside of me. I could feel it jumping, and I don't want it to do that now. I could feel it jumping inside of me with excitement, and I didn't know what was going to happen. but the angels actually stuck my feet. Just say I'd come in that door and I was to hold it open. They stuck my feet there that I couldn't move. And there was chairs, you know, in a circle, but then they went to an oval shape and all of that, and it got bigger and bigger. There was so many people there that night, clerical students, nuns, and lay people as well. But the thing that happened, and I know I'm skipping loads of it, is God walked among them. God walked among them and he touched them. And the sad thing was, I wanted to say, you know, but I wasn't allowed to say. And the young man that was the priest who said, well, did anything spiritual happen to anybody while they were in prayer? And of course I wanted to say, yes, don't you know God has walked among you and touched you? You know, but I wasn't allowed. I was told, no, stay quiet, and I was kind of irritated that way, you know. And the sad thing is, only one young man turned around and said God touched him. We're all afraid to acknowledge God. And that's something I'm noticing all over the world with all religions. You will acknowledge it among yourselves, but you won't acknowledge it as I'm acknowledging it here to all of you.
Why is that?
Because we're afraid. We're afraid of being ridiculed or laughed at, or we're afraid of, you know, they're too religious. But you should. It doesn't matter. It's like an elderly man that I had met that had read the book Angels in My Hair. And he said it made him become so conscious, you know, of his guardian angel and of God, that he started, he said, even in my old age, looking on the world different, looking on my family different, looking on my community different. That even when he was walking, going down the road, and he saw a child doing something wrong, or even an adult, he would tell them, you know, that's wrong, God wouldn't like you to do that. And he got to befriend, he said, a couple of young little boys. And they love him now, because now they know they have a guardian angel. And they just say, well, we're trying to be good for our guardian angel and for God. You know, in that way. And I know I use the word God, and you might wonder why that. But when I started to write, that was something that really worried me. You know, because everyone says Jesus, and I know as a Catholic, and I know in other religions sometimes called holy, you know, the most greatest, the most highest, all just so many different names, you know, and I just said to God, what am I to do, you know, and what am I to call you? And I was so astonished by what he said to me. He said to me, Lorna, what do you call me? And I looked at him and, you know, just shocked. God, of course, you know, and he says, call me God, because it's universal. I never knew it was universal, but it is universal.
That's interesting.
Okay, sorry. I'm going to let you ask another question.